What do we have for Leo? 10 of Cups, Pisces energy at the foundation of the reading, Leo. Leo, the downloads I've been getting for all of you are surrounding an individual or individuals from your past, from a previous karmic cycle you have since moved on from, that don't want to see you be happy. And what's interesting is these individuals made it impossible for you to be happy when they were in your life. And right before the reading, I was channeling and receiving these downloads, and I said out loud, right before I hit record, I will destroy every relationship you ever try to enter. I will destroy your career. I will destroy your reputation and drag your name through the dirt if you're not going to put up with all my narcissistic tendencies. I will do whatever I can to make sure that you never smile again. The energy I'm getting here is, honestly, the only word I'm hearing for it is greasy, right? It's like this person is just a very narcissistic, greasy kind of individual. And I'm starting to hear that the reason why they wanted me to say greasy is because they're trying to grease their way into different areas of your life. This could be somebody that you haven't even spoken to in years, Leo. You've put your life back together. You've, by all accounts, become a completely different person. You're just far more evolved. You have better boundaries, you have better discernment, you're more confident, you're more secure in the man or woman that you are now. You've evolved, and your energy feels peaceful. It feels happy. You feel aligned, and you feel very content with this 10 of Cups at the foundation. And though it can be frustrating when energies like this come up from the past, there's always a reason why. And when this happens to me in my own personal life, and I can't see in the immediate moment what the reason might be for having this annoying energy come up, God always shows me. And typically, it has to do with a lesson that these other individuals need to learn. We always hear about God preparing a table for us in front of our enemies, right? And there's been this collective-wide energy I've been getting the past couple of days, which I feel is going to set the tone for the next series of readings that I'm beginning here with you, Leo. But it's an energy of reveal. It's like God has been working on you, upgrading you, so to speak, helping you do all this shadow work and just break out of any sort of conditioning or patterning that may still be lingering around from this previous cycle. But now you're ready, and the divine wants to show you off. It's like you've been in a kind of isolated space for a long time now, and the divine is going to use you, I feel, to really set an example to what it really means to overcome struggle and pain and rebuild your life on the ashes of all of it, right? It's like, this is the energy of somebody who's just risen up out of all the struggle and burdens that everybody else piled on top of you. And now there's this kind of dumbfounded energy that you were able to do this. It's as if they feel like they never actually knew you. They think you've changed. But that's just the thing, Leo. Though you're stronger now, you're more awakened, you're more aligned, you're more evolved, and you have, by all accounts, changed. This person that you've become is actually who you always were. You just changed yourself. You downgraded yourself while you were in this person's life or these people, whoever this is for you. It's like you dumbed yourself down, but spiritually, to appease other individuals, to just fit in and be a part of something. And now it's like they want to give you a hard time for becoming this strong, powerful person that can actually stand up straight with your head held high and walk in confidence. They don't like it. They don't like that they're scared of the person you've become because it makes them feel like a coward. It makes them reflect on the person they really are. And Leo, welcome to this new season of your life because this has just begun. What do we have at the sacral, please? Oh. This has just begun is exactly right, Leo. Tower, Mars, Aries, Scorpio energy at the sacral. You have broken down an idea of who these people think you are. You have shattered an illusion that these individuals have been living inside of their entire life. I just heard very clearly, Leo, if you're going to lie, you better have a good memory, which is speaking about these other individuals, obviously. This is the point we've reached now. So many lies have been told, so much manipulation, and layered forms of narcissism and gaslighting have been used against you, that these individuals have gotten tangled up inside their own web. They don't know what's what anymore. You always know when a pathological liar is getting to the end of the line because they can no longer keep up with the lies they've always told. And one of the requirements in order to be able to trigger exposure in these individuals' lives is simply you stepping into your power, Leo. It takes you getting on your path and not looking back, pushing forward, no matter how hard that is. And, I know personally how difficult that is in those beginning months, right? Even first couple of years for some of you, depending on what it is you're leaving behind. It's like spiritual torture because there's something energetic going on there. On the spiritual plane, it's like you're fighting your way out of a kind of hell. But eventually, you do get to the other side. You start to realize that you can't look back because every time you do, you set yourself back, right? It's like taking one step forward and then you look back or you re-engage with an energy and then boom, 10 steps back. But you, Leo, you actually made it. And now, because of this, the switch has been flipped. Judgment has been triggered. And so brings forward the beginning of a very long, arduous, and painful trail that your enemy is now placed on. The timelines have shifted. We're in a time now where you will start to see people that were once on top quickly be reduced to the bottom, the very bottom. I'm hearing something surrounding a lust for power, right? It's like individuals who get an opportunity, and rather than protecting that opportunity and being a good person and using their power or influence for good, they just decide to be a diabolical nightmare and abuse their power and bring forward a lot of pain and suffering. I spoke about in the collective reading I just released that a lot of what's going on in our lives can also be seen globally, the world stage. And this is exactly what I'm getting here as well, Leo. And a lot of what I'm saying here can be said for all sorts of things we're seeing in the world. But you have to look at it in terms of blanketed energies, right? What's typically happening in your own individual life is also happening somewhere on a macro scale. And when you can actually see this is an indication that you're exactly where you need to be. It's like the universe called, you've shown up, and you're a part of this global shift, a collective shift. You're in the group of people that are now moving to the next level in the game. Happiness is your birthright, Leo. First card out, 10 of Cups. This is one of the best cards in the tarot. It is the general idea of happiness. And then the Tower, which can be seen as a polar opposite energy depending on how you read it, is the result of you receiving this 10 of Cups. Your happiness is their destruction. And this is why something inside of them has been telling them to destroy your happiness at all costs. They don't even know why they do what they do. And this is somebody who's under possession. Something dark has taken them over. And I honestly don't even think, Leo, that you're surprised by hearing that. I think you probably already knew. If anything, I'm just giving you confirmation that your intuition has always been spot on. Speaking about your intuition, Leo, I feel that you've gotten to where you are because of your intuition, because of this connection you've been nurturing with Source. And as a result, you now walk in strength, you walk in power and confidence because you've nurtured that connection. You've cleared out that intuitive channel, that intuitive highway between you and Source. I just see you in my mind's eye, Leo, going about your everyday waking life, and there's this invisible tether between you and the divine. You can't see it, but it's glowing. It's so bright. It's as bright as the sun. That tether houses all your downloads, all your intuitive guidance, and is your direct channel to Source. It's flowing, it's clear, and you are fully online. I feel that your days have become much different than they once were, Leo. You perceive life differently now. I feel that there's a vibrancy to your life that you are now enjoying that I don't even feel was ever really there, not to this capacity. There's also a sense of gratitude that I'm picking up from you, Leo. It's like you're actually grateful for having put through the struggles you were put through, as dark as that may have been, because of how truly happy you are in the here and now. You understand that the passage of time had to unfold the way it did to get you to where you are. Had you not have gone through all that, you wouldn't be in the space you're in right now. And if you're not quite there yet and you don't feel that sense of gratitude yet, just give it a bit more time. You will eventually. You know, this is how you defeat the devil. You take all of that pain and you turn it into purpose. You take all of that darkness and you transmute it into light. This is the devil's worst fear because that darkness is meant to put you down. It's meant to put you away, run you out of life clock minutes and get you out of here as quickly as possible. But this is what you became privy to. You had a deep knowing that this is actually what was taking place. Probably couldn't put it into words at the time, but there was just an intuitive knowing. What do we have at the solar plexus, please? Perfect. Hierophant, Taurus energy at the solar plexus. You had a deep knowing is exactly right. The Hierophant is representing divine, source, God, this intuitive channel that you have running between you and the divine, coming right out of the solar plexus. Your solar plexus is all connected to your self-confidence. So confirming what I just said, it's this connection with source that is allowing you to move differently now, to look differently. You changed, Leo. You're not the person you once were. Simply put, you found God. I remember when I found God, Leo, people told me the same thing. Oh, you're not fun anymore. You've changed. This is always a very easy way to spot these agents of the underworld when you're met with comments like this. They see it on you. They sense it on you. They know that you've stepped into your power and they don't like it. Very rarely in these situations, Leo, do you get met with congratulations. Very rarely will you find someone telling you that they're happy for you or they're proud of you for being so strong. This really just speaks about how disconnected most of the world is. If anything, going through an awakening like this is completely alienating, which is a good thing. But you also have to remember, Leo, that this is actually how it's supposed to be. None of these individuals are meant to be a part of your new beginning. This is why they're steaming with anger, because you made it out and they didn't. It's like they can't even comprehend what that even looks like or means, because they've wandered so far off their path. I mean, they're just completely taken over by the underworld at this point. It's not even something that they can conceive. They just don't get it. They're on a lower vibrational plane, so to them, you just come across as something completely foreign and alien. That's how it should be, Leo. Another clear indication that it worked and that you're on the new timeline. What do we have at the heart, please? Too many cards. What do we have at the heart? Justice. Wow. You nurture this connection with the divine. You flip the switch, which triggers this tower, which results in justice. The scales being rebalanced. Like I said earlier on in the reading, these individuals now having a kind of fall from grace or just being exposed for who they really are. They can't hide behind the veil anymore. The person you once were has been sacrificed to the past, right? That can speak about a kind of phoenix rising moment, which goes without saying. But something that I've personally been dealing with recently is individuals coming up from my past that, I mean, I haven't spoken to some of these people in 6, 7, 8 years. People that I had to leave behind because it was necessary to be able to go through my own personal awakening. You know, very similar to when somebody quits drinking, they gotta stop hanging out with certain people. Otherwise, they'll be tempted. You gotta stop going to the bar. You gotta stop being around drinking. Same thing here, but it's more the energy of things that I'm picking up here. But recently, I've been having some of these people trolling my YouTube channel. It's like an energy of pointing and laughing, right? Because they remember me a certain way. I'm so far removed from these people, these energies. So knowing that they're out there and watching me do what I do and have absolutely no understanding of any of this, right? It just would sound completely foreign and crazy to them, what I do here. But it's had me thinking much deeper as to why the divine is allowing this to happen. And it goes back to what I said in regards to the reveal and God preparing a table. The other side of it as well is that I was thinking about how this can relate to a lot of you who are going through the same situation out there. And when you get on to a path like we've been channeling through for you here, Leo, the divine wants to use you as an example and try and shake some other people awake. And this is the reason I believe that the divine allows this to happen. Why the divine needs to bring you out of the shadows and into the light in hopes that some of these people will pick up on something you've done or something you're saying. You know, for me personally, obviously it's them hearing a reading and something just sticks, something just makes its way through the matrix that these individuals are existing inside of. It's a kind of programming that needs to be broken. That's what all of us are tasked with doing. We have to crack the code and break out of our own individual programming, but then the divine needs to position us so we can become an influence and try and get other people to break out of that space. And though that may look different for everybody, we're all essentially here tasked with very similar things, and all has to do with different levels of awakening. But this justice is confirming everything I'm saying here. It's like the truth is coming out about who you really are, Leo. You're not this person that they thought you were. You actually are the person you always knew yourself to be, but just couldn't quite reach out and grab onto because of your own individual circumstances and your surroundings. You weren't able to implement it, step into that timeline because you were on this lower vibrational plane of existence. What do we have at the throat, please? Oh, wow. You're on this lower vibrational plane of existence. And we get the Two of Pentacles right on top of that Ten of Cups. So this Two of Pentacles, it's showing us an individual here juggling something, right? And there's the karmic loop, the knot. I just heard between worlds. So it's like Matrix and the person you're actually supposed to be, right? It's like you cracked the code. You overcame this illusion of who you knew you were supposed to be and who these people expected you to be. You began to realize that you'd been living a life of compromise, a life where you compromised with other individuals not to step into your power. Now, it wouldn't have been so obvious, right? There's just certain things you agreed to on your path that basically kept you away from aligning with your higher self is really what it comes down to. But you see this clearly now. See, when those scales tip, right? Justice at the heart. This is when this veil parts and you're able to see all of this for what it is. It's like you zoom out of your life that you've been living up until that point. And you can see everything from a higher perspective through the eyes of God. And it's like looking down over this entire playing field, so to speak, right? Like you're looking at a chessboard. And you just go, oh, I see it now. I see it so clearly. Couldn't see it before. Because, can't see the forest for the trees. But if you can just get above everything, then you can get this aerial perspective. Oh my God, everything looks so different. So much easier to figure out which way to go. You can see where you're trying to get to. Exactly, Leo. It's not rocket science. It's so incredibly simple that we miss it. We fail to see it. This Hierophant at the solar plexus, which is representing the connection you nurtured with Source, is what gave you this perspective. Some of you may have even had dreams like this. It's very similar to like an outer body experience, like stepping outside of yourself and seeing yourself on the other side of the room from a different density. I remember when I went through my very first spiritual awakening, which was about 17 years ago, and it didn't last. Right, it was just kind of like a tremor. This is what I call them. You have these little tremors before like a big quake, which can be seen as like your major spiritual awakening. You'll just get these little downloads, and then you go back to sleep inside the matrix. You almost forget about everything that you saw or learned. I had this moment where I was going through something in my personal life, and I was in the wrong because of my reaction to another person's action, which was negative. So it immediately put me in the hot seat. Had I have responded to this correctly, then I would have been in the right. But I had this shift in perception. It's almost like I had an outer body experience, but I was awake. And I saw myself from the vantage point of my higher self and the way I was acting. And it shocked me. It rattled me to my core. After that took place, I started to implement a lot of changes into my life. These changes did last until my next awakening, which was years and years later. But that particular thing really stuck with me. It's like God taking your consciousness out of your body for a few minutes, not even, a few seconds really, and putting it into his perspective over you so you can see things that may be holding you back. Something like this may have happened to you, Leo. Now, there's no real rhyme or reason to how this may show up because I think it's going to be different for everybody. It's almost like it's custom made for each individual's personality. That's how it went down for me. But something like this that happens in your life is going to stick with you. It's almost as if you carry this with you. It allows you to remember. It allows you to be more self-aware. It allows you to travel between realms. And this really speaks about calibrating with your higher self and taking on this kind of vantage point as you navigate your waking life. What do we have at the third eye? Knight of Swords, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius energy at the third eye. Wow. This confirms everything I just said. The Knight of Swords is the most clear and direct energy in the tarot, and it's coming out right at that third eye position. It's like your vision for your future has crystallized. You've never been so certain. The confidence that you are exuding on your path now is breaking generational patterns, generational curses. This is chain breaker energy. You're doing what no one before you in your family lineage has ever done, however that looks for you. But you understand why no one's ever done it, Leo. All you have to do is think about everything you've gone through. Nobody wants to go through all that. And this is exactly why most people would prefer to stay asleep inside the simulation, inside the matrix of their life, because they don't want to put in the hard work to break out of it. It says everything about a person. You know, the one thing I've always had with me, Leo, even before I was completely awakened to my path and the truth, I always had something inside of me that wanted more. I always wanted to discover better ways of doing things. I always knew there was more. I've always had the dreams. I've always had the visions. Most of the things that I remember daydreaming about years ago, fantasizing about, pretending like I was already in that energy has come to pass, or it's part of my life now, which is something that I try to tell people. Those visions, that's real. It's there for a reason. It's trying to get out of you. It's trying to become your reality. But we've been made to think that it's all meant to stay in the dream space, that it's not supposed to come out of that place. But this world wants to tell us that all of these dreams are supposed to stay inside of the dream space, which is why I say magic exists. Because if you can actually take those dreams and you can make them your reality, you remove them from the dream space and you materialize them, well, that's magic. What do we have at the crown, please? Oh, wow. These cards are following what I'm saying, as always, but this is very profound, the way this is happening in this reading. High Priestess, Pisces energy at the crown. The High Priestess is the card of your subconscious mind, like your dreams. Represents the mystery of life, represents your intuition. You need to trust yourself, Leo. If you've been doing the work, if you have a healthy mind and spirit, there's absolutely no reason why you can't trust yourself. The divine is calling on you to step into your position, Leo. I just heard you're being called back home, right? It's like that to me speaks about you finding your way back to the space that the universe always intended for you to be in. It's like we're incarnated into these life cycles and we just kind of stumble through life, hoping, something will happen, hoping we hit the mark. But the way that you actually do this without it being a shot in the dark is by recalibrating your connection with Source. Hierophant, High Priestess, higher mind all over this reading here. The divine showing up to tell you that they're here for you. They're ready and waiting for you. And then here you are. It's like, wait, I see it now. I understand. I can move between worlds, which is just another way of saying you can move between realities, densities, spiritual, physical. See, that's how you win at life. That's how you conquer your life, is by taking on this mindset, nurturing this connection. Because when you can actually navigate between the spiritual and the physical, well, you're now succeeding at doing what most can't even comprehend. It goes back to what I said about people from my past watching me do these videos, do tarot, right? So they probably have no idea what I'm talking about. They probably think I've completely lost my mind. But there's a language to this. There's a understanding and a perspective that you have to shift into in order to understand what I'm saying here. It's the language of the higher mind, and those that don't understand, well, they just don't understand. And as we know, when people fail to understand something, they point and laugh at it. So in saying all that, Leo, get used to it. Okay? Because all they're doing is giving you confirmation after confirmation that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. They should be laughing. They should be pointing. All it's doing is cementing your legacy. And I have the devil right on the bottom of the deck. Polar opposite. Spiritual, physical. Higher mind, lower mind. $5D, $3D. And as you can see here, these individuals are shackled to Baphomet, right? This is the agreement you have to make. This is the agreement they made, and this is why they're being used by the underworld to create resistance for you on your path. They are, by all accounts, your mortal enemies. They've probably followed you through several lifetimes. They're placed in your life cycle after life cycle, in all different incarnations and iterations to simply annoy you. Period. What do we have at the foundation, please? Temperance, Crocell, Sag energy at the root chakra, and Knight of Swords, Elagos at the sacral. And again, Leo, this literally just followed what I said. This temperance from this deck is like temperance in its negative polarity, like temperance in reverse. It's an energy of external disruptive energies that create imbalances in your life, creates chaos, creates conflict. So you can't focus on your long-term vision, right? There's your long-term vision, 10 of Cups, general idea of happiness. And then here they are, right? This disruptive energy. And I'm hearing something around frequency, vibration, right? I was explaining in the collective reading, and I think the Aquarius reading, that you guys need to become more mindful about the frequency that things hold, right? Whether they're behavioral patterns, addictions, people, places, everything holds a frequency. And they all show up somewhere on the scale, right? You need to be more mindful about the way you're living, because all of these things work incrementally to determine what your vibration is at any given moment. So if you have energies around you, Leo, or you're mixing with energies that are causing you to not be able to focus on this 10 of Cups, which is right there at the foundation as well. So this is a complete restructuring of your life, then it has to go. And you have to start looking at things from the perspective that if it's not for you, it is against you. We have enough in our everyday waking lives that we need to fight against. We don't need to fight against the people that we surround ourselves with. You need to give yourself a fighting chance. If you can't find anybody to be around right now that isn't for your highest good, you are better off being alone until you do. Eventually, you will come across them. Just really depends where you are on the path, where you are on this journey. Once you start vibrating at this frequency, you're naturally going to start attracting other people that vibrate on the same frequency. Yes, you're always going to get these low vibrational energies that somehow weasel their way back in, right? None of us are perfect. It happens. But with discernment, drive, and focus, you'll be able to weed through them much easier. This King of Swords, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius energy at the sacral is speaking about these energies. Again, very manipulative, very cruel, very overbearing. These are people that are completely incompetent. They don't understand. They don't get it, Leo. Okay? There's nothing more frustrating than going through this kind of awakening here and people not understanding what it is you're going through. Because there is a point in the early days of the awakening process that you feel like you're going crazy. You feel alone, but that's how it's supposed to be. It's not something you do with a buddy. Your connection with Source is a solo endeavor, so to speak. What do we have? The solar plexus, please. Wow. 9 of Wands, Sag energy, Martial-Ceus. So this 9 of Wands, I mean, this is all about keeping boundaries with people, right? Keeping your distance, persisting forward despite any of these setbacks that may be placed on your path. And these setbacks, Leo, are always going to try and jump in front of you, however that shows up. But again, you just get better at going through them. Eventually, it becomes laughable. You become more agile, right? You become more spiritually malleable. Ooh, I don't know if I've said that one before, but I get it. I think in the collective reading, I was channeling through a vision that I had of Neo in the Matrix when all the Agent Smiths are shooting at him and time slows down and he just bends backwards and is able to move so the bullets don't hit him, right? This is what I'm getting here. Obviously, this is speaking metaphorically, and hopefully. You have to start becoming a pro at this, Leo. It's required. I mean, it's all a part of the path. Okay, all it takes is one of these people to grease their way back in, like I said at the beginning of the reading, get you to give them an audience, and boom, no telling what they'll re-engage you with, right? 10 steps back. It's not worth it. You're going to get to a point, if you haven't already, Leo, where you're going to have far too much to lose, but it's spiritual in nature. There's an obedience that you must implement, which in this life we may refer to as a good set of morals, Leo. Self-respect. Having enough respect for yourself not to entertain individuals that do not deserve your time, do not deserve your energy because they showed you exactly who they are. Mercy for another does not come at the detriment of yourself. You should never have to sacrifice yourself to help another. That's not what you are here for. What do we have at the heart, please? Andrelephus, unhappy voyage. Queen of Swords. We have the King of Swords and the Queen of Swords. This Queen of Swords is the pathological liar of the tarot. And see how it's a donkey holding up peacock feathers? Like, oh yes, these are my peacock feathers, right? And they actually believe it. So I feel like this is representing a past energy. Like, oh, Leo, I went through a spiritual awakening too. This sort of silliness, okay? It just represents somebody who's trying to say and do whatever they can to get back inside your energy because, let's face it, justice, right? See, there's something about this here, and this doesn't surprise me, but it's like they know that if they can re-engage you, it's like the tower in justice lets up. Or they can divert some of this karma to you because you made the choice to leave your path behind and jump back in that sinking ship with them. And it says right there, unhappy voyage, right? The sinking ship. And then we have Damabia, Fountain of Wisdom. The World. Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius energy. At the heart, underneath that justice. Leo, you've completed a cycle here, or you're preparing to. It depends where you are on this timeline, but this is over. You're integrating yourself into this new timeline. And they're still trying to focus on trying to do things to avert some sort of disaster in their life. It's like they're still fighting God. What do we have at the throat, please? High Priestess again. Pisces energy underneath that Two of Pentacles at the throat. Iahia. God, the eternal lasting. Success, protection from magistrates. So, right between realms. Higher mind. Lower realms. The divines all over this reading here. Hierophant and two High Priestess. Divine guidance, divine guidance, divine guidance. It's everywhere. This reading here feels like a keep going, Leo. Don't stop. Keep fighting, right? I mean, again, it depends where you are on the journey, but it feels more motivational in nature. And for some of you, there's going to be a sense of perspective that this reading gives you in order to start triggering these changes in your life. For others, it's confirmation that you're exactly where you need to be. You're on the path. But I'm also looking at this tower right now, right? We have the tree, the apple tree, and the serpent crawling up at the temptation. It's at that sacral. There's always a temptation, Leo. Always. But I feel that you've gotten to a point that you're able to discern now what's going to drag you back into the dark abyss and what's not. Okay, and really that's what it comes down to. You just need to be mindful about what you put your time into and where you place your energy. Always make sure you're receiving energy back for the energy you give, no matter how that looks for you. The universe functions on energetic currency. Self-respect, Leo. What do we have at the third eye, please? Knight of Swords stacked with Knight of Swords at the third eye. All these doubles. Knight of Swords, High Priestess, High Priestess. Between realms right here. Hariel, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius energy. The all-pervading God. Intellectual richness. Protects fertility of women. Makes children respectful toward their parents. I just feel that this is speaking metaphorically about where you're going, Leo. It's like the polar opposite of what you've always dealt with, what you've always put up with. You're going to a timeline where you're respected. There's a richness in the energy, kind of abundance. There's an excitement. You're very brave, Leo. And obviously, you're a Leo. You are the lion, epitome of strength, courage, and confidence. It's all over this reading. You've become this warrior, and on a lower timeline, these enemies, these cowards, are all on their knees, being walloped by the universe with horrendous layered forms of karma. There's also confirmation with this double-stacked Knight of Swords to the third eye that it's like eventually people begin to get a better understanding of what you've always been saying. It's like an energy of you being right, but now actually being able to say it. Wow. The world, again. The world, the High Priestess, the Knight of Swords, all clustered right here. Charging into your new beginning. You being under divine guidance, High Priestess. You charging forward in a very deliberate, action-oriented manner into the new beginning. Knight of Swords double stacked at the third eye. You closing out the cycle of the past and stepping into the new timeline, the world. God, the source of wisdom, gives success in all ventures. Multiple confirmations throughout this reading, not only with the doubles that we're seeing here, but even when I was channeling through and the cards were falling out after I was saying the messages. This reading is right on target, Leo. So I certainly hope that I was able to channel through for you some messages that you can find useful on your path at this time or whenever you may find this reading. Leo, this is the message I have available to you, depending on where you are on this timeline, should you choose to accept. I'm going to go ahead and leave it here. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you would like a personal reading, you can find all of my contact details in the description below this video, and thank you for your donations, Leo. Take care.